Just a quick word of warning before we get going that the following podcast will almost certainly contain spoilers and may also contain strong language and conversations of an adult nature.
Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Strong Language and Violent Scenes, the podcast giving a second chance to films that might not deserve them. I'm Rich Bain, a film composer and the founder of ShockStreetHorror.com.
And I'm Andy Stewart. I'm a filmmaker and a journalist, and that's it.
No rubbish in between.
No, that's it.
Strictly just
that's
that.
It. I'm only those things now.
And I'm delighted to be joined by a guest this week. He is the host of the podcast Under the Stairs. Hello and welcome to Mr. Duncan McLeish.
Hello, gents. Thanks for having me on your fantastic show. It's a pleasure to be here.
That's
what I do. Flattery first.
Thanks for coming on, man. And thanks for bringing us this wonderful... Is it a film?
It's definitely a film. Confirm that much. Yeah, definitely.
Did you say it was a film or is it a movie? Like, it doesn't feel like a...
Oh, that's a whole other discussion.
Does it qualify as a film?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
but
it's an experience.
Whatever else it is, it's definitely an experience. Yeah. So, do you want to just remind us again which film you've chosen, and also just kind of explain why? What's your relationship with this film? What?
So I chose Rawhead Rex from 1986, and this movie I saw. I don't even know when I first saw it. I want to say it was VHS. I want to say it was maybe late 80s, maybe early 90s. One of these obscure kind of rentals based purely on the cover.
Okay.
Like, the cover is mental. It's a giant dinosaur-looking creature with lightning behind it and Rawhead Rex plastered in massive red, bold text.
Okay, so, like, ballpark figure, like, how old are we talking about you being?
Me?
Yeah.
I would have been maybe at a push 9 or 10.
Right, okay.
Got into horror really, really young. And I remember watching it and just... seen it that one time and never been able to place the movie after that. You get those memories of certain scenes, but you never capture it. And it wasn't until maybe 2010, 2011 that, through online forums and stuff, that I managed to track down the name of it. And is that where I'm a huge Clive Barker fan, love the novels and all the rest. And I had read Rawhead Rex God knows how many times in the Book of Bloods. I absolutely loved the short story as well, and never put it together that certain scenes marry up. Mostly because the film roughly resembles, and we'll probably get into that, resembles the actual short story. And checked out on a rip from online. Yeah. And I was just like, this is one of the most bonkers movies I've ever seen. And while I now actually own both 4K restorations, the US one and the UK one.
It's staggering that there are two 4K restorations of this particular film.
It makes no sense considering there are movies like The Godfather that don't have a 4K restoration yet, and Rawhead Rex has two.
Which potentially makes it one of the best films ever made.
I would think so. I think both sides of the waters have it. So yeah, it's a movie I've seen God knows how many times. I've done commentaries on it. I tend to go to the bat for it in a way where I probably shouldn't.
Good, that's why you're here.
And I'm looking forward to it. And I'll tell you, I sent a list through, and as soon as I found out you hadn't seen it, it rocketed to the top of the list.
Oh, seriously?
Third, and as soon as I found out you hadn't, I was like, yeah, he needs to see that. He needs it in his life.
Yeah, it was a first viewing for me. I've now seen it twice.
There you go.
Awesome.
Just for the sake of completeness. I did. So I think we should just jump right in.
Well, I just wanted to say just off the bat that the film is set in Ireland, so there may be some bad Irish accents here.
It's a reasonable thing to preface that with, I guess.
Yeah. I'm also drinking a Guinness in celebration.
Actually, before we start, we're going to guinea pig you on a new sort of feature that we're going to introduce, seeing as you brought it to the table. And obviously, you're you've got a rich heritage with the film. Can we get 30 seconds on the clock, Andy?
Yeah.
So 30-second synopsis for the benefit of anyone who's listening that hasn't seen the film. Kind of just as vividly as possible as you can in 30 seconds.
On your marks, get set, go.
Right, so American tourist who is writing a book on churches is over in Ireland. He's over there at the same point that Irish farmers are pulling a giant penis stone out of the ground, which unleashes a giant penis demon who goes round the village killing people and can only be stopped by the power of vagina. There you are.
Well, that was...
Pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, I think you've covered, covered all the bases.
I think we're good.
I think 10 seconds, realistically, is a closer.
Also, I mean, like, hit on all the subtext, all the imagery, like, kind of all the metaphors.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right then.
Anyone would think you've done this before.
This is something that carries around with me.
This is also the first film, and potentially the last film, that we'll do on the show with characters called Andy and Mitch.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, I never even
So
thought of that. Yeah.
that's quite lovely.
So, yeah, let's jump in. And I would say one thing that I liked about this immediately was that the score is immediately insane.
Yes.
Like, very busy, very dramatic. And we home in our setting, which I believe is Rathmorn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And yeah, as you say, we happen on 3 Irish farmers who are attempting to dislodge what I think can be fairly described as a penis stone from the ground.
Yeah, it's veiny.
Big cock.
Yeah, it's veiny. I think it's the only thing that comes close to the original.
Yeah.
The original short story is a 9-foot
Cock.
cock monster.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he is a giant. He's shaped like a penis, and
I guess that's where the Rawhead name
As
comes
the-
from.
Good lord.
the slit of the penis actually contains razor sharp teeth.
Wow.
So you can imagine that when it came to design the creature, they were very quick to change that.
I like the fact that like they scaled it back, but only by like 15%.
Yeah, they were like that. Yeah, let's make him look like an extra from Guar.
I've actually got written down here, it's like if Tokar and Razor from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles visited Craggy Island.
It's like,
Like, I guess that's the film in a nutshell.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've got that big cock obelisk in the
Cock
field,
obelisk.
and these guys are really trying to remove it. And immediately I was struck by, well, why now?
Yes.
I mean, that's presumably been there a long time. Why are they taking this? Why now is he deciding to remove it for the field?
It's clearly the last straw. He's
Right.
sick of looking at it. Today, Tuesday is the day it will be removed.
Yeah,
That's a bit of an embarrassment every time you open your curtains and there's a giant dick in your garden.
Constant reminder of your inadequacy.
I mean, like,
But you do know right away you're in something that Clive Barker's written as soon as there's a giant cock.
Of course.
Yeah.
it's like, just so you know, imagine one of them at home being like, you know what, Mary, I've had enough.
Yeah.
Tuesday, that giant penis metaphor in that field is coming down.
I'm gonna get the lads over and rip that cock down.
Yeah. I'm gonna shout Dennis and Mitch
Right.
over, and we're gonna finally
Well done.
I was gonna say yank that thing down, take you on from that. So yeah, so we cut away from that before it's successfully dislodged.
It's difficult, man.
Yeah, and at this point we do get the arrival of our main character, Howard Hallenbeck, who's he's, as you said, writing books about sites of religious historical significance in Ireland.
Yes, so he's working his way around them all, and he's just happened upon this particular church at the right time.
Yeah,
Convenient.
Well, in a lot of ways, kind of inconvenient. Yeah, but so what I would say is, so again, we cut to Howard and his son, Robbie.
Yes.
Kind of just like larking around. One thing I took away from that was the dialogue between the pair of them is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like,
he seems like a cool dad.
Yeah, it's like pretty natural. I think. I thought it was pretty good. You're looking at me. You're giving me side eye.
Well, I don't think I would enjoy being dragged around churches as a child.
No.
Well, that's why I thought that the kid was doing. I thought the kid was taking it with a requisite level of good humour.
I'd have a very hard time with that. I remember getting taken to the beach in Menorca one time, and when I think back on it, it embarrasses me because I was such a little prick. And I know I would be just as big a prick if I had to get dragged around churches when I was 8.
Yeah.
No way.
No one in this family wants to be there. That's the beauty of the situation. I think you're right. There's it kind of reminds me of almost like American kind of sitcom family, and they're at this particular church while this giant stone penis has been removed, while people are singing in the church very loudly, "Hallelujah, Hallelujah."
It's a very rambunctious chorus, isn't it?
It's a very powerful.
Well,
pushy,
Declan O'Brien.
Declan the most
O'Brien.
Irish of all names.
Yeah, it's a bit of an Irish name generator. That one,
Might
isn't it?
as well just call them Guinness McFinn. You know what I mean? Like, legitimately, just the most Irish of all names.
He's the MVP in this film.
Oh yeah, he's brilliant.
Oh, we
he
can get
is-
into that, but yeah.
He is fucking lunacy personified. And you know right away because he is belting that song out. He is screaming, he's shouting.
Yeah.
He's not even singing it, he's just shouting the lyrics. Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
It's true, actually, yeah.
Fucking hell,
It's totally amelodic. It's just like maniacal shrieking.
Yeah, it's to make them, it's to punish them, because that's what church is there for. To punish people.
He's pretty unapproachable
Oh yeah.
as well. Like,
Imagine confessing to him.
yeah, there's very little about
God,
him.
no. That's better thinking about.
No.
He's my favourite character in the whole film.
Yeah,
Far
potentially,
and away.
yeah.
Far and away.
So it's at that point, isn't it, that we kind of like, is that when the woman tries to put one of the congregation?
Yep.
She tries to, you describe it.
Yeah, so she tries to put a glass vase on an altar just at the point that the stone is starting to be removed.
Yep.
There's a weird, it's like the most like inappropriate stained glass window in a church ever.
Well,
Yes, it's amazing.
a giant salivating beast on it.
Yeah, at the bottom, Rawhead is actually at the bottom.
With a laser in its eyes.
What it has a Terminator eye, this red laser, which beams down, and like once again, the metaphor is rife here in this, that everyone that touches this hot box is burned, if you know what I mean. Everyone that touches the hot box is burned. And so this woman, like, basically she burns her hand, drops the vase, upsets the congregation, who are like, oh, scandal.
Understandably.
Mary
Yeah.
has dropped this vase right in the middle of Hallelujah. We're only on the third of 57 verses. How dare she?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Further adding to Declan's annoyance.
Oh,
I'm
he's,
sure.
Yeah.
he's
Well,
furious.
it's a real momentum breaker, I think.
He's
Like,
totally, he was like, we'll have to go back to the beginning. Does anyone remember the words? Oh, that's right, hallelujah, hallelujah.
That's just...
Over and over again, verse 1. But yeah, so she does that, and this is all building up to the coming of that's a bad word.
the arrival.
The arrival, thank you, of Rawhead Rex.
We jump back quickly to the field, I think, just at the, I guess you could say the kind of birthing of or the rebirth of Rawhead.
Yeah, the vinegar strokes of
Do we
the
call
arrival.
him Rawhead or Rex? What is the nomenclature?
I have gone with Rex, but I'm open to suggestion.
I'm going to go against the grain and say Rawhead,
Rawhead.
because that's what Declan calls him.
Good enough for me.
Declan does call
If
him
it's,
Rawhead.
if it's good enough,
Now-
enough for Declan, it's good enough for us.
The farmer, who's out there now by this point working on his own, trying to remove a stone
That's
is,
right. He's been
that
deserted
is
by his pals.
conservatively 10 tons. Like,
Couldn't move it with a tractor.
couldn't move it with a tractor, but you could do it with a long piece of metal.
Yeah, crowbar.
Like,
Crowbar.
When his two pals are like, we're off, it's like, you boys just go home. I'll take it from here. Sorry.
he's giving it a good shake, and the wobbleisk
The obelisk.
is wobbling. It starts belching smoke, but it doesn't stop.
Almost.
I would stop immediately.
Yeah.
Would you say it's ejaculating smoke?
I'm getting the feeling we're in a very slippery slope here into just obscenity, and
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Aye.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that that's definitely the way this is going.
Yes.
And I'm not misreading.
No, we're
okay.
we're going deep.
No, he doesn't stop for a minute. In fact, he starts making one of the most ludicrous faces I've ever seen in a film.
Could you say it looks like an ejaculation face?
Yeah.
Because that's what it looks like. He's at the base of a stone, grimacing with rage.
Such a blunt Dick and Fanny metaphor, the whole film.
Yeah, it so is, man. And, like, you can break this down to even the short story is a monster who is scared of women that are on their period and or pregnant and can be defeated by pregnant women. And that is literally it. So that's and they carry that over at the movie, and they go for it. They crank it to 11.
He's so insecure. He's such an incel.
He's so young. Such an incel. He's a Chad.
He is a
He's
fucking
putting
Chad.
it around, man.
a total
But
Chad.
so yeah, look, what you get here is like the stone finally comes over, and what I will argue is maybe one of the best single shots in this movie of Rawhead flipping his head up, right? So he's coming out the ground. There's muck coming off him, which when you hear the trouble they had with that costume, I'm surprised they did that. I hope that was the last shot they did in the movie, because the costume was pretty horrible by the end. But he comes up and there's lightning in the background. He lets out this massive roar, and at that moment, if this is your first watch, you should be sitting there thinking to yourself, I'm in for something special.
That's about the fourth minute.
Yeah,
as
I'm
well,
in for
right?
something special here. I was not ready for this, and we have Rawhead Rex. He has arrived.
Rawhead.
But that scene does the actual creature of Rawhead far more justice than is deserved.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yep.
you're like, oh, look at him, he's fucking ferocious, and then 10 seconds later you're like, look at the fucking
Yep.
state of that.
Why are his eyes crossed?
Yeah.
Just constantly cross-eyed.
Right, serious question. Like what you just said there is right enough. I think that it's a very
Serious
grand
question after this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeez.
Absolutely.
Right, okay.
Yeah. The tone of this thing turns on a dime, you know that. But no, like so like you say, yeah, it's a very dramatic entrance and it's a very impressive entrance for a character that probably looks slightly less impressive when you see him front on.
Yeah.
Do you think that the like creature reveal being in side profile was a deliberate choice?
Yes.
I agree. Immediately after this, we have Howard's first encounter with Declan. He wanders into the church and he's taking photos of aforementioned horrifically inappropriate stained glass window.
Yeah, he's walking along going, this looks like what is this? This is different.
He really lucked out with that church, because it's far and away the most interesting church in his book.
He says that. He says that he's finally found something worth writing in his book later on in the movie.
It's like, it makes you wonder how
Before
long...
or after his son dies. Just got to get your priorities right. You go, I've still got a book to write here.
So a chapter about...
And my book has got very fucking interesting, very fucking fast.
A chapter on family loss is going to be bitching in this book of heritage sites.
My publisher is going to eat this up.
Yeah, he's going to love
it. It was at this moment that my son died.
Yeah.
You imagine. Yeah, you're right though, because you said is I've finally got something to write about. It's like, how long have you been researching this book, and how long has it been feeling like kind of a blind alley?
And how long have they been dragging those poor bastards around with him?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Right,
yeah,
okay,
6 weeks.
missed
Yeah,
that.
6 weeks because his wife reminds him, and they want to go to the happening place, which is Dublin. Instead of where they are right
Dublin.
now.
Yeah.
Dublin's pretty good.
Yeah, it's class.
expensive.
It's class. Yeah.
Good though.
But what you get here with his interaction with Declan straight away is instant hostility. You know, are you the Reverend? He's like, no, I'm not your man.
I'm the Verge.
The
Virgil.
Which
Verger.
The Verger?
Virgil.
I think is like
What the fuck's that?
stunt double for a priest, maybe. I don't know. You're like the cast extra. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not up in the nomenclature for this.
Because the priest, the actual minister, doesn't appear to do a whole lot in this movie except
Collects
sit in
clocks,
his-
and he makes jokes about
Did
it.
you say clocks or?
Right, clocks.
That's what I thought you
Timepieces.
said. That's what I thought you said. I was like, I missed that chapter. Did you all have pendulums though? Swinging
Yeah.
pendulums.
Oh well. Yeah.
Um,
Like balls, I
yes,
suppose,
the giant
testicles. Right.
brass balls swinging. But yeah, so he's the verger, and straight away he takes this. Why are you here? You shouldn't be here. I don't like you being here. I don't like you taking photos.
There's
It's like
a
a weirdly combative tone.
There's a real Wickermaniness.
I think that, yeah.
Yes.
Even down to the font and the credits and
Yes.
stuff. There's a real Wickermaniness to the film that
Yes.
that speaks very strongly to me.
I love the Wicker Man. So
I think that, which is interesting because I think that the guy that plays Declan's performance is echoed by Nicolas Cage's performance in the Wicker Man
I
remake.
think you watched the wrong movie. You watched Rawhead Rex and not the Wicker Man. So, now that you mention it, I wonder if he ever did get to the bottom of how it did get burned.
I wonder if we did ever find out.
Yeah. So yeah, like
What we do know is that killing him will not bring back your goddamn money.
it'll not bring back any honey at all, and nor should you try. But yeah, it's not like. But Declan is, once again, you're talking about the performances, he's MVP of the movie,
by far.
and like I think it's because the guy didn't really know what he was letting himself in for, and just went for it. And that is to his credit. Every scene is done with an over the top, and it turns out the guy actually came from a theatre background, which you need in a movie like this. You can't have like an actual genre actor. You need someone that's used to bellowing out like this booming voice and doing Shakespeare on stage in front of like some.
Well, apparently during his audition, he just came in and screamed and banged on a table.
Magic.
Hired.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
We have our Declan.
And he's amazing because like almost straight away after this scene he touches the hot box
And then it all gets very dark place.
it gets like it's like you get these like visions of fields and paganism and all the rest, and right away the face kind of goes a bit, it's an audio podcast, people can't see the face, but the maniacal smile comes on right away, and he whispers into the air, Rawhead, and you're like, Right, so this box communicates with, which will be undone later on in the movie, but this box communicates with Rawhead. It gives back.
Are you telling me there's an inconsistency in this?
There may be one or two.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
There may be one or two, but it's like his version of a time capsule. So he touches it and gets that, and from that point on, Declan is his acolyte.
I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Good word, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know where I got that one. It's like,
Wrestling.
I was gonna go disciple. Wrestling, that's exactly what it is. Ministry of Darkness.
Farouk and Bradshaw, yeah.
That's right. Circa 98,
99.
That's
Yep.
right. So yeah, and that's from that point on, he's his devoted follower. The first of many, you would say Declan is the best. By
The original
by far.
and best,
Yeah,
yeah.
and will be baptised in one of the greatest scenes in horror history later
Oh,
on.
Which
wow.
will certainly
yes.
come to, yep.
Yep.
It will certainly come to that.
So, I think the next thing you get is kind of like a kind of domesticity shot of Howard and family. And
That leads to some scenes, probably some of the worst kissing scenes I've ever seen in any films.
see,
Ever.
Yeah, see, pretty much any time that Howard and his wife kiss, it's almost like you described what kissing is to aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, so they've never done it, but they vaguely know how to try.
Plus, I don't know why this couple are together. One is clearly a fan of very thick, warm sweaters, and the other one likes a lot of makeup and dressing kind of slutty.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like overtly sexual in the movie, like very, very sexual, which obviously plays in towards the end.
But he gives off a kind of Mr. Rogers vibe.
Yeah.
Yes, totally
He does give off a Mr.
And
Rogers
it's a
vibe.
weird combination. She's wearing negligee, putting on makeup, while her children, like flirting with her husband, while her children are.
I said that to Mitch. I was like,
It's
his kids
creepy.
are right there.
It's kind of creepy.
But he swoops in with he's got those real wet fish lips. And the camera kind of cuts away once, and you're like, oh, thank fuck we dodged that. And then the next scene, they're out in the street, and they're just the worst open-mouthed nightclub kiss when you're like 16. It's fucking horrible.
Is this when they're?
That was the scene that unsettled me the most in the whole film. I was like, look at them kissing.
Is this when they're at it and they're being leered at by a "Don't Look Now" homage?
Yeah,
Well,
and
that is a clear
it is a Don't Look Now
Now
homage.
which
Yeah.
is, and I mean, they couldn't.
I
have
thought
made it
I was
any
being
more
really
obvious.
Oh, absolutely nay.
Yeah,
No.
I thought I was being really funny when we were watching it, and she crept up, and I went, "Oh, Mitch, don't look now."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, very droll."
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
and then during I watched the commentary, and he was like, "That's a Don't Look Now homage," and I was
You're
like,
like,
undone my joke and just made it look like I was being a smart ass.
and there's a cardinal rule in movies, right? When you're making movies or when you're watching movies, that you should never make reference to or show a movie that is infinitely better in your movie, because it makes the viewer want to watch. But I'm
The Wicker Man, Don't Look Now.
Don't Look Now. Two references right away of infinitely better movies. But I will say, to his credit, it does show that he's a fan of the genre at least.
Yeah, he's genre literate. If you like.
Yeah, and he knows the big ones. That's a sound of success right there, ladies and gents. That's
Oh, Christ.
So considering we don't have the benefit of video footage here, Andy has just made what is like a historical pig's ear opening a can of Guinness.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine, it's cool.
That's fine. He's recovered.
Proceed.
As you were. Where were we?
A cringy
Homages.
Homages. Yeah. Yeah, you're right though. I think it does kind of shows that he knows his stuff. I want to talk a little bit about the scene we get next, which is the death of Dennis, which is one of the farmers from the beginning.
Yeah.
He goes home to his wife, and he finds that the barn door is off the hinges, and then he gets done in at the hands of Rawhead, right? Yeah. So my favourite thing about this is Rawhead's, considering he's like a giant 10-foot indomitable beast, his commitment to the element of surprise. Like, why is he hiding in a stack of pallets in the barn?
Boo!
I know. They originally wanted Peter Mayhew,
That's right, yeah.
but they couldn't afford him.
Yes.
They wanted Chewbacca.
But to be Rawhead?
Yeah, they met
seriously.
him. Apparently, George Pavlou met with Peter Mayhew, said, "Oh, we loved them." And I'm sure when the thing I watched or I listened to, they said something like, "There was a conflict or something." But
Yeah, conflict was money.
apparently, they couldn't afford him.
Yeah, there was
And I mean,
money.
obviously, they eventually opted for Hilary Swank.
As well.
Yeah.
She does a great job.
Trivia corner.
Given the outfit, she does a great job.
And the year it came out. Yeah,
Yeah.
She does pretty well.
And the fact that she's so well hidden, I didn't know. You couldn't tell.
Hiding in plain
You
sight.
could never tell.
The guy in the suit is a ski instructor they happened upon.
No way.
That's true story. This guy has a fairly rich career in cinema after his debut as Rawhead Rex as well. I'm fairly sure this is the guy that plays the Predator.
No, I thought the guy that played
No,
the
is it
Predator
not?
is the same guy, Kevin Peter Hall. It's the same guy that plays Harry in Bigfoot and
Is
Henderson.
it? Right, so there we go. That was a lie.
What I would say is I think that we have both posited two equally plausible theories about
Yes.
who plays Rawhead Rex, right?
Don't watch the special features or do any IMDb trivia at all, and what I've said is historical fact.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the guy they got is essentially a ski instructor, and he had never acted in a movie before.
I've never been in the film before. What do you want me to do?
Plus, he had a thick accent.
Wear this. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, a thick accent in Ireland. But he worked
Yeah.
out apparently quite a bit beforehand, bulked himself up for the role. And I actually think there's a bit of credit to his performance in that he is almost like a cartoon character at certain points when he runs. It's like three standing still steps before he
He's
starts
really
running.
struggling to run in the suit. He can
But, like,
clearly see nothing.
Like very.
He's just Like he's just
he's looking through the always open mouth.
Through the mouth.
Yeah.
Do you think when like obviously the actors all knew they were there to do a job, they were there to do this film, they'd read the script presumably. Do you think that when they saw Rawhead come running onto set, they thought it was going to be good? Or do you think they were all like, this is it, this is what we're in?
That's a really, really, really good question. I hypothesize that most of the people that are in that movie have never done a horror movie before. I think that if you've never done a horror movie before and you've seen a horror movie, maybe your expectations is a lot of things are fixed in post. And like, you know, because it really, as good as it looks, even as good as it looks in 4K now, right? It doesn't aid the film like that, and that's making it look as realistic as it would have been on set. So yeah, it's not a good looking suit, and you have to think that maybe just people are like, well, maybe this is horror movies. Maybe this is just what happens on every horror movie.
Yeah, like maybe that's what this is.
Yeah.
Well, by that point, Clive Barker was well known.
Yep.
And I think
That'd be attractive.
I think 5 out of the Books of Blood by that point had been optioned as films.
Director had made a previous Clive Barker adaptation as well.
And Midnight Meat Train was flying around at that way back then as an option. Jacqueline S was flying around as an option, all around about the same time. So people already knew who Clive Barker was.
It's like a train that was
and
worth getting on.
We're minutes away from Hellraiser, from Clive Barker going on to Hellraiser. So I think that maybe, I feel that there's maybe a kind of, people were like, this is Clive Barker's written this is going to be cool, and then out it comes.
Well, without this movie, Clive Barker doesn't take the stance that he does make in Hellraiser, which is full on control. This is my movie.
I was going to say actually, like, and I thought about this just today actually when I was thinking about coming to do this. And regardless of what you make of the film, you could make the argument that the impact that it had on genre cinema afterwards is kind of seismic. In that, because Clive Barker had so much kind of animosity for this version of it, the fact that he took such creative control of Hellraiser made it the film it was.
It's of all the ones that have been made of his works that he was not involved with, this is the one that he speaks the most about remaking, which is weird. It's a weird movie to remake.
Well, I'm going to come on to that. I've got a bit about the remake in here.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Okay.
But yeah, he was at the time, like, Stephen King was touting Clive Barker as the new face of horror,
right.
passing
Famously.
the mantle to him. Yeah, like,
famously.
And that endorsement
What was
back
it? I've
then,
seen the future of horror, and his name is Clive Barker.
Yeah,
Wow.
Probably the best quote you could get from anyone in your field.
And that's Stephen King's already a good decade and a half into his career, and on some level is looking to pass the baton on to the, this is the next generation of horror, and so he was a huge name. He was going to be the next big thing, and this is the first big adaptation of one of his works, and it's not what Clive wanted. I'm fairly sure it's not what George wanted either. I wish I genuinely is one of these people that I would love to just sit and grill. I just think it must have been mental. Just see, and you can see he's flying by the seat of his pants for most of it.
They could never get Clive Barker there. No. He really wanted George Pavlou says he really wanted him there, but the producers just wouldn't fly him out.
Seriously?
Yeah, just like, nah.
One of my favourite moments in the film comes up not long after what we've been talking about, which is that obviously, Rawhead kills Dennis and
he does,
smashes up the spice rack in the kitchen and
spends a lot of fucking time smashing that kitchen up.
And
but then that poor woman, she is the slowest runner.
She's pregnant. Well,
she did
maybe
pregnant. Even then, she's kind of she's bumping off every wall and she's wailing. She's got her hands up the sides of the wall, like, fucking hurry up! He's 10 foot tall and he's coming.
What I love about this is after he's gone and the police show up, and immediately the big shot detective's conclusion is that it's a revenge killing.
Yep. I know, hypothesize what that revenge might be, and what this poor hapless farmer has done to wrought such a bloody revenge, and maybe severe attack on his kitchen. And
then
at that point,
it's like
does he even know there's he's literally just looked in the kitchen. It looks like someone's just smashed up the kitchen. So he's like, oh, he's offended somebody to get your kitchen fucked up like that.
They spilt the stew. Did you see what they did? A fucking travesty. Look at that stew. It's on the floor. I mean, that's just not flying here. No, have none of it.
That's exactly right. It's like, but I love the fact that his kind of sidekick becomes a kind of avatar for the audience at that point, because he's like, it's a revenge killing, and the guy's basically like, oh yeah, based on what?
Yeah, because the cops are useless in this movie in a way which makes me happy.
Oh, they're so good. They're so incompetent. It's amazing.
It reminds me, there's a great, if you ever get the chance to check out it's like maybe the definitive greatest bumbling cop duo of all time is Herschel Gordon Lewis's Blood Feast.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and the two
guy's reading his lines off his hand.
But the two cops are awful. All the way through it, there is evidence, clear evidence, which they just pass by. And I like to
most
think
of those
it's
guys,
a prototype of it.
Yeah.
Moving forward, and you get this. It's a similar thing that appears in something like The Abominable Dr. Phibes as well. Two cops,
Death Spa.
heckin' useless. You know what I mean? All the way right through it, and you come to this, they carry that bumbling cop thing on, and they are terrible police officers all the way through it, even right to the end. They're the worst police
Even
ever.
these are guys that they've brought to this town because the crime is so heinous, so
So we need to get
making.
We need to get our best guys on this.
Yeah, it's so epoch making in its horror and the damage wrought that they bring these big city cops in. So they're bringing Taggart, they're bringing DCI Jane Tennyson, they're bringing all these heavy hitters in, and they're fucking useless. They're mad. They're worse than the local guys.
Yeah.
Do the police in the Republic of Ireland have guns?
I don't know.
I don't have an answer for that, no.
I'll look that up, but there's certainly one guy, we know he's a cop because he's got a shoulder
the holster,
holster.
yeah.
I'm always like, they just put that on him so we know he's a cop and not just a guy.
Kinda
One of my
looks
favourite
like
bits
he
with the
should be
cops
here.
is later on when after Robbie's died and one of the cops turns round to Howard and he's like,
It's a great scene.
do you want me to get you a cup of tea?
Yeah.
And Howard goes, how about you go fuck yourself? The guy's like,
Righto.
I'll pass that suggestion on.
pass that suggestion on.
It picks up pretty fucking quickly, by the way. Like after this whole thing is
Yeah,
happened,
it changes gears pretty
it
much.
changes gears pretty quickly as we move into the caravan park for the first time.
Yeah, where once again there's some poor little child who's just trying to have fun while he is basically sitting opposite the
that-
randiest teens ever, maybe.
Yeah, like, so it's his brother, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's his older
his
brother.
brother's trying to get off with his girlfriend right in front of him.
I'll be honest, his little brother is such a cock blocker.
Oh, of course.
Super cock blocker. That big brother obviously has the most painful boner in those super tight 80s jeans, like rubbing against the line that runs up the middle of your jeans, and his little brother's sitting there. You can't waistband it, you can't poke it into his belly button, like, because then you have to dig down into your pants and grab your dick and pull it up and tug it up, and then your little brother's going to see you do that, and you're opening yourself up for your little brother taking the piss out of you. Not that I've ever been there
No, that was
or any of that, but that's definitely
like,
that's the situation.
that didn't play like a flashback at all.
So in a way, you can understand his. You can understand the big brother's aggression in a way.
An egregious tactical blunder, I think, though, to just kind of kick that off in the same room as where your kids kind of your brother's
I
kind
think
of
once
minding his own
you're
business.
getting hot and heavy and you're getting into the kind of swing of things while he's sat there, you've made a misjudgment early on.
Yes.
There.
Yeah. Either she is a bit easier than you expected her to be, or your game's better than you thought it was.
Now,
So-
spoilers again, but she says to him. I don't know. Do we know her name?
Oh, we do. We do.
But he's Andy.
Yes,
Which
he is Andy.
annoys me
It's
because
Katrina.
he's such a cock. And
Katrina.
typically, if there's somebody in a film called Andy, they're a fucking asshole.
Don't get me started on the depiction of Mitches in TV and film down the years. By the way,
Oh, the Mitch in this must have rubbed you up the wrong way for all the 2 seconds he was on screen. You must have been like, get this fucking asshole off here. He's an embarrassment to Mitches everywhere.
It's like I'm getting fucking sick of this.
Do you see what he's fucking wearing?
I know.
Honestly,
Why is he wearing a suit?
I don't know.
It's Andy and Katrina. I can
Right,
confirm
okay,
that.
well, Katrina.
And the little
said-
brother is Neil.
Neil with a mullet. Now, she says something along the lines of, I have to talk to you, Neil. No, I have to talk to you, Andy.
Drink.
Yeah.
But,
Go on.
is she going to say she's pregnant?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Because it's never actually revealed what she's actually wanting to talk about.
I think that she certainly is coming at it with a very serious tone.
She's
I'm thinking
breaking up the embrace and the potential
whatever follows next. Yeah.
tomfoolery.
Yeah.
And she's kind of putting the kibosh on it and the brakes on it.
Yep.
I'm thinking
Because she's got something important to tell him, and then it's kind of forgotten.
Yeah, my guess if I was a betting man, I would say either pregnant or breaking up. Would be my guesses. Yeah.
I have no theories on it at all because that has always just went right by me. I don't listen.
This
to
is
what
how
you say.
deep we go here, Duncan. We're going into the minutiae.
Well, we don't do this on a podcast under the stairs. I wasn't ready for this.
It's like we're inexplicably digging
I
really
just wanted
deep
to make
this time.
I just wanted to make funny noises and talk about Rawhead Rex.
I picked this movie for its penis symbolism. Yeah, no,
It still kind of
that's right.
applies.
She didn't act She don't know. You don't find out.
Don't find out, but it feels like she's got something pretty groundbreaking to tell him, and he just drags her into the woods and tries to fuck her against the tree.
That's
which
what
is
that
a very, I guess, is quite a young guy thing to do.
Yeah, if in doubt.
Forget what you've got to say.
Yeah.
Shh.
Baby.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
baby, shh.
Yeah, like she out of nowhere.
No talking, sweetheart.
She out of nowhere adopts a very serious tone. He's just like, yeah, that doesn't sound important.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, darling, but it sounds like it could wait.
So the poor kid, for all his cock blocking, gets his toy taken off him.
And locked in a caravan.
Gets locked in a caravan because the brothers had enough.
The lock's on the inside, he could get out.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those ones where you're like that.
It's quite clearly like
100%.
Well,
That's how locks
right
work.
there, he can get out
that's how
of it.
locks work.
You can get out if you want.
Inside, you've not got keys, so you just turn it and that's you. But he makes a big palaver out of this. Meanwhile, his toy gets crushed under the foot of Rawhead because he's not just a killer; he's a childhood ruiner.
A childhood ruiner with fancy boots, by the way, which
Very
I noticed
fancy.
when you got the shot of him.
Kind of like the kind of failed spring ugg line.
I would have preferred them.
You know what I mean?
I would have preferred them to be dressed more in some kind of rags or almost some kind of mummy look to them.
Yep.
I feel like it's very Barker. He's got very leather.
He
He's
is,
dressed
yeah.
like a kind of leather daddy.
Curious prevailing theme that keeps cropping up in the films we're choosing for.
Absolutely, and he's got Legion of Doom shoulder pads.
He does.
But I feel I would have preferred him to look a bit more like he'd been under the ground for a long time.
Yeah, it's that after that initial one shot. Well, it's what we say. That original shot of him coming out, he looks gnarly.
Yeah.
He looks like really, 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 really cool. And then after that, there's a very syntheticness about him. Everything where you're like that.
Aye.
Not quite sure what. And once again, that 4K restoration highlights it.
Favours.
It does no favours.
I was gonna say that, like, I think pretty unforgiving.
No, but you think to yourself, when they made that movie, did they ever expect 4K to exist?
Oh, no.
Ultra high def, they're like that. We can hide it. People are going to be watching this on VHS.
Like,
The tracking's going to be wonky.
They weren't on the set. They don't care.
Yeah,
and
they
then all of
don't
a sudden
know.
you're like, it feels like I'm on the set.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a podcast is, but people won't be talking about this movie on a podcast.
Yeah.
Surely not.
Look at the creature. This will be forgotten in 5 years.
As I say, the conversation on this definitely won't persist 32 years after the fact.
I have nothing to worry about here. Cult following will not happen with this movie. It's going to disappear into obscurity. I'll make the next movie and everyone will love it.
No.
We get like an amazing couple of shots in the woods here because Rawhead is...
I think you've missed a very salient point though quickly. When Neil finds his broken robot, he delivers my favourite line of the film because it's so badly acted where he goes, "You pig! You bloody pig!
You bloody pig!
You bloody pig! You bloody awful pig bastard!"
It's destroyed his... that was his favourite toy.
Yep.
was it.
And by the looks of things, there weren't many other toys. That may be...
He had a helicopter.
Did he have a helicopter? So what's
He had
it
a
going for?
helicopter
Two
and
toys.
some army
Spoiled
soldiers.
brat.
Fucking spoiled brat. I was just thinking that. Yeah.
Helicopter, some army soldiers, and the robot.
Yeah, the robot truck. Is it just a robot or is it just a robot truck? I thought it was a transformer. But
It looks like one of those robots. Put a battery in and it kind of walks forward.
Yeah.
I bet it's not a real transformer. I bet it's a transmorpher.
Yeah.
A GoBot.
GoBot. Oh yes. Oh, my childhood's coming back to me in waves, man. But yeah, look, we're in the woods here, and I think maybe what made me think he was the Predator, the same actor, is the way that he's treating this carcass, dragging it back, very Predator-esque.
There's a
He's
lot of
still lugging Dennis's body around, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been dragging him for a while, hangs him up, starts feasting on his cheek. Of all the places to go, that's the place he starts feasting on. And they're like getting
Some good eating in cheeks.
There is.
The monkfish cheek, for example.
Well, I was going to say Dennis doesn't look like he's skipped any meals.
No,
either.
no,
So it looks like he's
plenty eating on old
Yeah,
Dennis.
there's breakfast, there's a Lindsay's,
Well, his wife's
there's lunch.
Yeah. His wife's
Brunch.
cranking out those delicious stews every day.
Yeah, nutritious, delicious, hearty, filling stews. But he's getting fed up on it, and this couple are trying to do it. The guy is desperately trying to
He's
slip
trying
the
so
finger.
hard.
The hand is going south.
She's still trying to. Look, I just want to. I've got something important to say. I've got to tell you something. I've got to tell you something.
Shh, like a finger back. I thought, shh.
I've had an abortion.
Oh, what will the police? Declan's going to be fucking furious.
Surprise, surprise.
He's never happy about anything. But like they catch Rawhead at this scene, and the budget can't afford a Rawhead chase scene. So what we get is a camera chase scene, like a really shite Evil Dead.
But they shoot it from a high. They shoot it from a high angle. They
Yeah.
shoot it from a slightly elevated angle, so it looks like we're coming from Rawhead's
Perspective.
perspective.
Yeah.
But it's clearly just like a camera on a stick.
Legs it down this track.
Oh, of course.
And the greatest thing about that happens here is obviously she's running hand in hand with her bow, and she makes it out to. Meanwhile, the kid is like going mental.
It's catatonic.
He's like, they brought
He's
a
in
robot.
shock, yeah.
I have seen Rawhead at this point.
Yep.
He is just walking around and he doesn't look normal.
I still feel that if you'd seen Rawhead, your broken robot is still your biggest concern.
I think if you're that age, yeah. I think, yeah.
Aye, true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know...
You lack a perspective.
Yeah. I'm a child. My imagination runs wild. That's clearly not what I saw. It was one of the pikeys
and if it was, it's...
in the bush having a wank.
Oh, apologies to anybody for the use of the word pikey.
What?
We surely meant traveller.
Traveller. Traveller makes them sound a lot more exotic than they are.
Fine. We'll settle on Jippo and be done with it.
Well, that's fine.
Well played, sir. Well played. But yeah, so he's like trying to get everyone interested and involved, and you know the neighbours are upset because they're about to have a can of like old guy's sitting down to have his beer. It's been a long day.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like particularly eventful day, I would say.
of doing traveller things.
Yeah.
By this point,
Traveller
we don't know if it's been a long day, but his day is certainly about to get a lot longer.
Yeah, well, his wife's just wanting a bit of attention. He's wanting a beer.
You ever had that thing where you're kind of just going about your business and then something happens, like maybe... I've been in a few situations where I found somebody's collapsed in the street or something, and I've wound up getting embroiled in it, and then 2 hours later I'm like, why the fuck am I sat in this hospital with a stranger?
Why am I still... My obligation was over when the ambulance arrived.
Yeah. And I feel like that guy there is probably like, he's just opened his Guinness like me, probably better than I did. In fairness.
Less spilling, yeah.
He's just about to take his first sip, and then all this fucking shit falls down around him.
A shitstorm comes to his front door.
Yeah.
But she's like, they're all out.
You can't dodge it. You can't like,
it's like
ignore a trouble,
small,
a crying child.
Traumatised child. Let's go and care for the young lad. He's talking about a monster. Monsters don't exist. You're being a silly little bastard. And then all of a sudden, this girl comes running out the woods, all the way down, and then they don't. She's like, oh, yeah, all hysterical. And they're like, what's the matter? And she's like, tell them, Andy. And all that's left is Andy's hand.
I had a bit of a problem with that. She would know. You'd know. You'd feel that. You'd feel that.
Yeah, because when you're running hand in hand with someone,
fucking funny.
There is no weight there. When all you're carrying now is hand, there is weight there. Like there's a clear difference. But I kind of love the fact that she gets there and she's holding a severed hand, and she just lets out a scream, and everyone's like, "But Jesus!"
I feel like that's genuinely it's possibly like my favorite. It's possibly my favorite nonsense moment in the film.
It's a great
in this film.
Yeah, it's possible. Like you know, because like I think that there are more ambitious nonsense moments in it. But see when she just looks and it's played for shock, she turns around and she's just
Is it played for it's played for shock? Comes across like a cheap gag.
100%. Yes.
Both of it. Perfect.
Yeah.
All of it.
Just want to quickly touch on the just before the death of Robbie. The family have got a real sink or swim attitude to Minty taking her first outdoor pee on her own.
Being a parent of a 4-year-old girl.
Okay.
I would say very close to the age of Minty.
Yeah.
I was fucking mortified by this. I don't know how they do things in the USA.
D- parenting.
Yeah. In Scotland, when your 4-year-old child needs to go for a pee outside, you accompany them like a good parent.
Yep.
You don't look while they're going to the toilet, you stand beside them, but you fucking accompany them, especially in a strange field.
Well, she does say you mustn't look to reinforce it. Yeah. She does tell them you mustn't look.
Also, like but a weird choice, I think, from Howard to just be like, oh yeah, you got this right. Like considering that, like in the sequence we were just talking about, Howard just happens to be on one of his midnight strolls when all this is kicking off, and has a very kind of like vivid encounter, like very obvious encounter with Rex or Rawhead, should I say? From
a fair distance.
Yeah, but I mean, like still enough.
It could just be like as they say, could it not have been a cow or cattle? Or
cattle.
Like,
yeah.
I know what cattle look like.
But But
well,
yeah, I would say like okay,
it looks fuck all like a cow.
We're splitting hairs about what we saw, but I think that like definitely not enough for me to be like yeah, no, you just go and piss the field by yourself.
Yeah.
Like but yeah, no, that's a great bit, I think.
I wouldn't send my daughter into a random field in a foreign country.
At the worst, what it was a giant penis demon monster. At the best, it was a marauding werewolf. In between, leaves nothing
Is
but anarchy.
exactly Rex.
Yeah, like is in between the two is Rex. You know what I mean? And that's what it might be mistaken for. So yeah, I'm with you. Like, there's a very laissez-faire attitude to the kid going to the toilet here.
Regardless.
Regardless. It's like, let's just go out here. Like, she can do it herself. She needs to learn how to pee outside. I'm going to say that you don't need to learn how to pee outside.
Regardless of whether or not it's something that you feel like you need to learn to do, I don't think it's a teaching moment right now. Right in there, in that moment. I don't think that then is the time.
Yeah, and it's also the wrong parent to send, really, to give positive
reinforcement. Compelling argument.
Yeah,
yes.
I think you take...
The man's a parent.
Yeah. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, I think as well. I think what comes out here is, once again, that the mother, for all intents and purposes, who will be the kind of default hero of the day, this movie at the end.
Absolutely.
Default being the operative word, but yes,
default hero. She is a fairly reprehensible character up until that point.
Potentially.
She's a bit of a shitebag pretty much the whole time, isn't she?
Yeah, it's not even just her attitude.
She plays she's very much a mother character for the rest of the film after that point.
Yeah, but up to that point, she's
and then she
really
turns
only
into a fucking badass.
She's like...
So what you're saying is she steps up the motherhood right after her son dies?
Yeah. She
uses her cunt magic.
It uses her cunt. Oh, yes.
Wow.
There you go.
Power of the cunt compels you.
Wow.
But they literally, what she does all the way up to this point is only really interested in getting her rocks off. That's literally all she's interested in up to that point.
She is
any opportunity as soon as even if the kids are in the next room.
Yeah, that's
the kids need to be momentarily distracted.
Just spoon me. They're reading a comic.
Hey, slap it in.
I'll keep it down. I'll be quiet. I'll bite my knuckles.
You know that
it's so grim.
You know she's loud as well. You can tell. But she's. But the thing is, like, even up to this point, she doesn't want to go with the kids. She'd rather sit in the car doing nothing than letting her accompany her child. And what happens is that I think is a great false setup in the movie, because she goes round there.
Yeah, that is a great false.
It absolutely is.
You think the girl's going to die? We're fine. Everything is a-okay. The girl does not die. There's a twist on that, because I don't think any women die in this movie. Am I wrong?
The topless woman at the caravan park certainly dies.
Yeah, she does die. Sorry.
No, but you're right though. Like overwhelmingly.
It's male oriented.
Yeah.
It's quite a pro-femme film.
It's a very pro-femme film. He was ahead of the curve, was our Clive Barker.
That's right.
If that was indeed the interpretation and the adaptation. But yeah, so like, she's terrible, and the false setup is the girl screams. We think, well, in fact, at that point she runs out the car, even though the dad's right beside her. They both run down there, and that's when Rex decides to pick himself up a tasty little Robbie snack.
Yeah, he looms in the funniest way into the reflection of the window.
He's like, hello!
See, there he is! Again, for like a marauding beast. Again, just like a fair amount of finesse about how he does it. Like...
It's
so fucking goofy. He's so gormless looking.
Considering this scene is the big emotional turn of the movie.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's the centerpiece.
This is the core.
Because Robbie doesn't make it back. Like, the dad runs up, has great difficulty
getting
working
out the gate.
Yeah, which is a gate that you pull towards you.
People have a lot of problems getting out of doors in this film.
Yeah, doors, gates. Yeah, and he runs round to the side of the car, and Rex is still having a nom.
Of course.
And by the time he gets round the car, which is not a big car, Rex has vanished.
Just a shoe.
And all there is a shoe and a pile of blood, which denotes to me that kid is dead.
Most certainly.
100%. Yeah. Universal sign.
Yep. Dad chases after him, and
which brings us on quite quickly to some of the best drawings.
My favourite unintentional comedy moment by a mile.
Yep.
Some of the best drawings of an antagonist I've ever seen in a film. Sensational.
So we cut to a police station where am I right in saying that the police chief is informed that Neil, the traumatized brother from previous, is still not talking, but he has done some drawings.
Yeah,
of Rex.
And it's handed over, and it is kind of very rudimentary. Drawing of Rawhead. It evidently is done by like a 6-year-old.
H.R.R. Geiger, this child is not.
No, that's fair. That's fair. No. But I think but the reaction of the police chief just being like, "Good God," is like comfortably one of my favourite moments in there.
Yeah, and he's like, maybe the Yanks onto something.
There's a bit where someone.
I love that that's what twigs it.
Someone tries to describe Rex and said he's got red eyes and a big mouth.
Which is literally all you see when he's looking at you.
You're like, well, okay. So keep an eyes peeled for that, and these drawings have that.
Yep.
You've
But
hit
when
the
it
nail on
looks
the head.
face on at you, though, what you see is a pair of cross-eyed red eyes.
I see a hilarious lump of rubber that just makes me so happy. It just makes me so fucking happy.
Yeah, he's like the
I feel
first
like-
run at one of the Zool dogs. You know what I mean, from Ghostbusters that they fucked up somewhere, and then
I feel like you could have flipped
It's
it.
like a rejected concept
You
there.
could have flipped. You could use the exact same costume and do like a kind of California Man
Yep.
type Bigfoot and the Hendersons
Yep.
kind of buddy movie, because
Yep.
he's got glowing eyes and he's drooling everywhere, but he's still kind of friendly looking.
yep.
Like, and it's just because of how badly he's made. He just
Yep.
looks quite
You speaking
friendly.
of Harry and the Hendersons, see when they ruin the artistic drawing of him?
Yes.
That is scarier than Rawhead Rex.
100%.
That is 100%.
That's like a maniac's nightmare in that film.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like scribbled with a
Look
pencil by
at
a
him, look
fucking
at
psycho.
Satan himself.
So after that, I mean, the bad drawings, they just keep mounting up. Someone else draws one.
Yes.
Neil draws one, and then is it, what's her face? Minnie?
Oh, does she do one as well?
Well, there's two bad drawings.
There's two bad
Surely
drawings.
one of them wasn't done by Howard, because he's a fucking grown man.
I do. How great would it be though if he was just like sitting trembling with a bag of Crayolas, being like, "I know what I saw."
But it looks like it was drawn by,
It looks like a strong back kid.
by
Definitely,
a kid
for sure,
or a
for sure.
simpleton.
Yeah, but how would she know? How would she know?
Good point. She was in
Yeah.
mid-flow.
Yeah,
she-
screaming.
Oh yeah, no,
She
she's
was-
the worst placed of anyone.
She was doing the most traumatic piss of her life.
Maybe he can't
Oh yeah,
draw.
wow.
I think it might just be the case that he's a terrible drawer. He's got no artistic bent whatsoever.
Questionable father, terrible drawer.
Zero artistic bent. He is entirely an academic, a bookman.
Yep.
Book learnings, no
Yeah,
No
artistic.
street, no street knowledge either.
Yeah, like, all,
Yeah.
like all academia and like no creativity, no common sense.
Yep,
That's
I
it.
would explain
Yeah.
the
He's a
many
researcher.
cardigan jumpers.
He's a researcher through and through.
Do you think he's maybe like an idiot savant?
He's an idiot.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I think.
Everything's a possibility, mate.
I think. Yeah, let's say he's the bad drawer here, and
Someone does a drawing of Rex that's
it's
diabolical.
not good. And no wonder the police aren't taking it serious. You know what I mean? They have two essentially photo fits that look awful.
They're probably just like, this boy's drawing of cattle is terrible.
Yeah, that's the worst cow I've ever seen in my life. Nowadays, there'd be so much footage of Rex.
Oh god, yeah.
There would be no doubt from minute one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Particularly during the scene which I'm about to come on to,
Yes.
in which we return to the trailer park. I'm going to say the Traveller.
The Traveller Lodge.
The Travellers
Travel Lodge?
trailer park. No more use of the P word.
Yep.
Apologies to my friends in Ireland for any bad accents that rear their head again. So we rejoin the trailer park.
I like the fact that, by the way, the fact that your apology for bad accents doesn't extend to you not doing bad accents.
Oh no, I'll continue to do them. All I'm doing is covering my ass. Really,
Yeah,
more
that's
than
fair.
anything
That's a
else.
good thing to do. It's a good thing to do it there.
More than anything else, just make sure I've covered it. I know it's shite.
Yeah. Get that on the scoreboard.
That's that.
You were saying though.
So, going forward into the next scene brings us to another new segment that we're trying out, in which we're going to hand over to Claudette from the room to posit the question: what are these characters doing here?
Hello? What are these characters doing here?
And in fairness, what are these characters doing here?
Yeah, we're pretty quickly introduced to 5 characters in a caravan, just having a drink,
And
again.
kind of recounting the
4 of the ugliest characters you've ever seen in your fucking life in any film.
If you were ever going to question God's existence, now's the time to do it. You know what I mean? Like, legitimately. Yeah. Explain this, Declan.
These people are more gnarly.
Where's your god now,
Where
Declan?
is your God now?
These people are more gnarly and horrifying than Rex himself.
This is right. At any point, had one of these characters just been Rex,
Yeah.
infinitely scarier movie.
Bar one, who is arguably the most attractive character in the film, who exists...
I don't think it's arguable at all.
No, she is.
Yeah.
And she exists for one sole purpose. But one guy he's talking shit, isn't he? He's basically flabbing out his involvement in the Neil story.
Yep.
And
Yeah, they're basically recounting the encounter from earlier with Neil and Katrina.
just kind of padding it out a little bit and making it sound a bit more...
He's bumming himself up.
Yeah. When, of course, the bright red googly eyes of Rex appear at the window, and he begins to do what Rex does. And I've actually written here, because I thought it was a really funny joke, I've written Rawhead Rex with a W, so like Rex.
Oh, what is he doing here? Rex gains weirdly unrealistic strength here. For a man that has been stuck under a rock, which a farmer moved with a crowbar.
Polystyrene rock.
Yeah, you would have thought Rex could have moved this stone at any given point, right? Because he tips the fucking trailer over. I mean, this thing goes over, and it's not like when you watch World's Strongest Man, where they're like,
it's pretty easy.
It's like it's made of polystyrene.
It's like watching the T-Rex wreck that trailer in Jurassic Park: The Lost World. it's like he tears through it like it's made of fucking crepe.
Yeah, just right through the yeah. Rips it open like a bag of crisps.
Yeah. Just
like tears it apart. He's at his most savage at this point. At no point in the rest of this movie will he be as savage as this.
Well, this is carnage.
Yeah.
He shakes all of the blood out of one man. He basically just shakes a guy until he bleeds all over the place.
Like he's a ketchup bottle.
Yeah. He pulls one man out by his face out of the caravan, out of the upturned caravan.
Yep.
The beautiful woman, the most beautiful woman in the film, she's just there to be breast.
She's inevitably pulled out by her dress.
He pulls her out by her breast, and I'm sure the direction was just shake her, make them wiggle. Because he kind of just bashes her off a tree and shakes her about from side to side.
This really registered on second watch just exactly how gratuitous that is.
Yeah. But it does lead to easily where all the money's gone. To numerous full body burns.
Yep.
There's carnage everywhere. People are burning and dying, and cops are in flames.
Yeah, Rex ramps it up.
Yeah.
It's like probably like I would say like of the kind of like set piece moments in the film, it's comfortably the most convincing one.
There is a going through the commentary again, Josh Pavlou says there is a 5-camera setup to shoot that. Yeah, he had 5 cameras.
I can't believe that.
2 nights as well.
Two nights,
5
cameras
cameras to set that whole thing up,
to shoot all that, and it is by comparison to the rest of the film pretty technically challenging.
It's ambitious for sure.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
It really is the centerpiece. It's when you consider how the movie ends, which is kind of anticlimactic compared to this massive action set piece that happens right a good.
I'd say still about 20 minutes before the end of the film.
25 minutes before the end of the film. But yeah, Rex is like Uber Rex. He's flinging things over, and he's now using his power of control. Unlike any power before, we have a priest in a church who is being terrorized on the phone to he's first trying to talk to Declan. Declan's having fucking none of it, right?
Declan has seriously, he's taken a leave of his senses by this point.
He's gone to the dark place.
He is out of his fucking mind,
and he is like full on devotee of Rawhead Rex. He's decided that God is no longer his savior. Rawhead Rex is, and we get
he sells his faith down the river pretty fast.
Very fast, very, very, very fast. In fairness, if I was someone that didn't believe in pagan demons and I saw Rawhead Rex, one, I would think it's a man in a suit. But if it was proved it wasn't a man in a suit, I would very quickly take up faith. I'd be maybe it's all true.
It's way more demonstrable in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
He doesn't scream pagan.
He doesn't. No.
To me,
no. He doesn't scream. Pagan. No. There's nothing about it that's even remotely pagan.
See, at the point where Declan starts explaining in fairly elaborate detail the mythology of it, that was the point where his name changed in my notes from Declan to Reverend Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Cliff Notes.
Oh, he's so good because he's like, they banished
Rex
him.
Rex position, if you like. Yeah.
He also comes out with one of the greatest lines ever in cinematic history about just now, where he basically tells him to get up the stairs, fuckface, which is just like, it's overtly aggressive.
Yeah, I feel that they keep banging on about the Parish Records as well, which I just think sound like a really cool recording label.
Yeah, the
like limited edition 7-inch out now on Parish Records.
It's like Parish Records. I just kept thinking, I'm going to take that. I'm going to run with that.
He's like, we get the whole backstory.
It looks like the Reverend's going to get fucked there. It looks like
it does. He
gets
gets pushed,
and I've seen the film hundreds of times. Well, not hundreds of times. That would render me mad. But I probably conservatively.
So that would render you Duncan.
I have conservatively seen the film 10 times. I would say. And each time I've seen it, I think, oh God, he's pushed him down. Oh God, he's going to pump him. But something I forgot to mention by this point, a key pivotal scene in the film, probably the best scene in the whole film. And I watched when we watched it in preparation for doing this. I watched it with Mitch on his first viewing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And essentially, what I did was I watched Mitch watch Rawhead Rex, and I watched his face run the gamut of happiness to blind confusion to mild irritation, which led up to this scene, in which Mitch's whole face just lost all control.
Look, Declan is so devoted to Rawhead Rex. Rawhead Rex has an initiation process to basically to confirm your
faith, your faith, and your devotion.
To cleanse you, so to speak, of your sins and welcome you into the Church of Rex. And this may involve a scene where it does involve. The minister is
We're past the point of spoilers here.
Is looking in wild disbelief as he kneels in front of Rex, and we are behind Rex, and then a hot stream of piss, just like, and he's right at cock level, just like a hot stream of piss just comes out and douses him. And the minister at first is just like, oh no, you know, like, oh no, Declan, like this, like kind of marginally upset by this. To me,
and
this
a bit
is
homey.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, when in Rome. But yeah, so he sees this, and this is the point where he's like that. You know, like Declan's lost it. He's off the rails, and then yeah, like you say, we end up with this fantastic explanation on the parish records, which look like pieces of paper that someone sat with a used tea bag. You've done this in primary school.
Yep, I know
and
exactly
you do this to age it. That's what the records look like. Not very convincing. Poor props. They're all kept, you know, very well conditioned as well, if you know what I mean, in these hidden secret pagan tunnels underneath the church.
So just to go back again, for anyone that wasn't really paying attention, a priest gets urinated on by a giant monster.
Yep. Name one other movie. Name one other movie that happens.
If that doesn't convince you to get on board, then
it's the only movie it happens in, to the best of my knowledge, and it makes it special.
Now, to any listeners out there, if you can think of other films where men of the cloth get urinated on by a giant beast, we would love to know. Please send them, fire them at us.
But yeah, like, so we're really ramping up towards what will be
the denouement.
Yes, this is where anything goes in the movie. Let's ramp the chaos up.
Oh, we're off the scale at this point.
Yeah, like, because Rex is now, like I say, he's in full control. Declan is his disciple, and Rex now realises that all he has to do is look at someone, and he can kind of get in their brain.
He's got hypno eyes.
Yeah, it's those crossed eyes, and in particular, we also have a scene where the minister, touches the hot box, and gets a flash and realises there's something going on. He realises that
hot boxing is a very different thing in my world.
Is it right?
Similar, yeah.
Is it? I think they can go with that. I think they can go with either.
Take either interpretation.
But he realises that Rex is scared of this altar, or seems apprehensive to come near it.
Yes, yeah.
But we're also, because we're kind of ramping up all these different things, our priest isn't going to make it. Yeah, our minister is not going to make it.
No.
Really?
Yeah, I'm afraid to say Reverend Coote,
Reverend Coote, yeah, that's right.
Is not going to make it to the end
I
credits.
love that it's a 4-letter word. It's Coote. And the first time you meet, the first time we're in the church, Howard says, "Is it Coote? Is that how you pronounce it?" And
yes, that's
no wonder Declan's annoyed.
Yeah, like straight away, he's like, "Who is this?"
Yeah, of course it fucking is.
Who is this?
What the fuck else is it going to be?
Yeah.
Is that a quite?
Fuck off.
But like we also have the fact that Howard has made his way there.
He's on a fucking mission now.
He has solved the mystery, and the mystery that he has solved is that the stained glass windows were all broken apart in 1860 something, and all put back together. And like someone that's not great with jigsaws, they just ram bits in their own place, and he solves the puzzle that actually in this stained glass window of Rex in the bottom being removed, someone is holding what looks to be a stone with a vagina on the front.
I was going to say a butt plug shaped stone.
It's butt plug shaped. There's a definite vaginal slit on the front.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it.
I'm glad that we're splitting hairs about this at this point.
It has a front bottom. And so he's like that, right? This must mean something, because this...
It actually looks quite like the Venus of Willendorf.
You don't know this.
I was going to say
it's a fertility symbol. It's essentially like I hesitate to use the word fat. Let's go with curvy. Of a curvy woman with large pendulous breasts. Mm-hmm. In fact, I'll show you. It's got.
It is like that. Yeah, you're spot on.
Kind of quality to it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean this is a great thing to do in an audio presentation.
Yeah, look at if you want to know what it looks like, either watch the film or look up the Venus of Willendorf.
There you go. But I do agree though.
We like to educate as well as entertain.
Yeah, that's right. I like it. So he solved the puzzle, but he doesn't know how this is going to relate. And this is where we get the police scene. The police scene is fucking amazing because we get a lot of people saying all for you to Rex, who's literally just standing at the back going with his weird guys,
like the worst fucking game show host in the world.
Come on down.
Come on, love me.
Yeah, like literally. Yeah, it's quite hilarious because the police all take up position, all armed. Because,
legit, yeah.
Yeah, they've all got their guns there. They're doing the whole car is parked. They are behind. Defend themselves, etc. Except one police officer who has very, very quickly decided that fire is the way to go and self-immolates himself and everyone else. In a great scene, which, like we say, took 2 days to shoot. Yeah. And it is the big boom. It's literally the big boom.
Of course, that's not the same scene as the caravan park. How foolish of me. This is full-on, over-the-top action. And this is the point where you're like, is Rawhead Rex going to get accidentally good at the end? No. You don't need to worry about that. It's still awesome, but it doesn't get good at the end. If anything, it kind of tones back down. It kind of goes on this curve and starts to descend, very much like a plane coming in for landing. What you have is this whole scene where they wipe out all the local constabulary are gone now. Rex has got what he's wanted. He's also killed the chief. Doesn't almost everyone else die as well?
Pretty much, yeah. The town. The whole town.
Again, we could throw back to Claudette.
Yeah.
Just like... because none of these people matter.
No, they're fodder. They're fodder for they are meat for the beast. And a Clive Barker. I'm wearing the top. That's just coming back to. So they are, but we're now on the ascension of how this movie's going to go. We have our hero, Howard, maybe ?
Oh,
but he's the least heroic hero ever.
He's
a pure wet blanket.
He is Tom Hanks in any of those Da Vinci Code movies. That's what he is.
Yes.
He's a guy who solves the symbol puzzle, but then realises that he can't use the symbol, so making him pretty useless. In fairness, he doesn't even solve the puzzle. The priest, the minister that's dying tells him, it's the altar. He's scared of the altar. You know, it's, once again, sorry for the accent. But yeah, so he's is it the Indiana Jones scenario here? Without Howard in this movie, do all the events unfold pretty much the same way then? Rex still gets released. You imagine the wife leaves Ireland. Well, they're not in Ireland to begin with, are they? So there we go. That shoots that one down. But yeah, so we're now heading towards the end, and Howard is going to defeat the beast by running to the altar, which you can't touch because it's hot.
Is it hot or is it empowered?
I don't know. This is the thing.
I've got no idea what the fuck's going on when they touch it. Like I said, it gets very dark, placey.
They touch it and their hand is red and kind of scarred after.
My assumption was always that it was like Barney, but it also caused...
Barney,
I think.
There's a bit in that
but I think
place,
it also brings on psychotic
in the first
episodes,
episode of that place, there's a bit where Matt Berry shakes Alice Lowe's hand like very early on, and he kind of just... and a whole cacophony of mad shit kicks off around him. It just plays very much like Dark Place to me.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's kind of amazing, but he can't open it. So he uses a candlestick to wedge this thing up, and while he's lifting it up, it's like they're opening the Ark of the Covenant. It's like all the smoke's bellowing out the red.
It's the worst reveal of anything.
Yeah, he's like, what's he
going
to bring out of this? Is it I don't know,
like a sword, an amazing bejeweled dagger,
a holy flamethrower? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I really wish it was a holy flamethrower.
Is it Rex's fleshlight?
Fuck! I'm drawing a line in the fucking sand of flashlight.
A giant Rex flashlight.
Sorry, Mitch, is that the point we've gone too far? Just a big mouth with teeth. Rex is one big weakness.
Yeah. So but he takes it and there's this little stone statue. It's this wee stone statue, and you're like, is that it? It's not great.
Yeah,
it's not great.
It's a shit prop.
It's ill-conceived.
I think it's arguable that this probably wasn't anyone's vision for it.
No.
Certainly not Clive Barker.
No. We have to touch on it. Seriously, this never seen someone so angry about it. Maybe Stephen King in The Shining comes close. You know, where at least The Shining's The Shining. Come on, Stephen King. It could have been Rawhead Rex. You know what I mean? Well, that man in the
But
beer
then-
suit could have been Rex.
But then Stephen,
At the end.
The old
Stephen King-
woman in the bathroom could have been Rawhead Rex.
Stephen King, with his own vision, made Maximum Overdrive.
This is true.
So,
And that's
you need to question. You need to question his taste.
that was Kubrick's comeback every single time. He's like that. You really? So Rex confronts him in the graveyard. Closing scene.
Yep.
And wouldn't you believe it? It's not as simple as just holding the statue above your head.
Yeah, Howard makes himself look like a right dick.
Because he's
He's like,
So true.
he's like, begone!
It's always supposed to be the big hero moment.
He's like, begone! And Rex is like,
he's like
now I'm gonna do to you what I did to your son.
he's like what's his face? Griswold from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where he's trying to connect the connectors and he's just losing his shit because the lights aren't coming on. Nothing's happening. I mention that because the light show that comes up here is very reminiscent of the light show in National
And a
Lampoon's.
bit like a low rate Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's pretty amazing. Like, this is maybe where all the money went. Actually, this digital effect here.
I disagree.
I think there's I think at the time 1986. I think these things
There are
cost a
some
bit more.
mind-boggling composites in this. Like,
Oh, yeah.
where you're like,
No, they don't make sense either.
Yeah, none of this
nothing
looks
makes
convincing.
none of it makes sense either. But yeah, he holds it up, doesn't work. Rex gives up. Rex kills Declan, who is fucking overjoyed. Yes, take me, Rex. And Rex is just I'll bite your neck. There you are.
I think that Declan's actually afforded one of the better deaths in the film.
Yeah, well, it has been peed on though. So
Yeah.
at the same time,
I can only imagine he smells
you can-
quite unpleasant.
Yeah, but I suppose you're affording him a kind of base level courtesy by giving him a kind of fairly dramatic or fairly kind of
I guess
fancy
if
death.
Perhaps you're less offended by the smell of your own micturition than perhaps Duncan might be.
Yeah,
Mitch,
this
if
is
I
true.
peed on you.
Yeah,
That's an extremely colourful. That's an extremely colourful
I
example.
like where this recording's gone. I hadn't anticipated.
Tuck it into your waistband.
Yep. But yeah,
All this and more on Stitcher Premium.
he gets fucked out the way, drops the statue. Rawhead Rex is going to finish him off, and for no reason at all, his wife appears.
She's got no knowledge of events whatsoever.
Nah, no
I
context.
think
Much
I
less
would
what
like-
to do with the stone when she gets there.
Yeah.
I would like to posit that she picks it up
She,
and the rest happens organically.
she'd like.
Like she's
When you
just
know,
like,
you know.
What the fuck? Like, that
She
is
lifts
my-
it. She does lift it
She's
like
just
Simba.
like, oh fuck,
from
he's
The
dropped
Lion
it. This
King.
must have been this must have been important.
Yep.
Oh,
it
I
up.
really just want someone on the internet to, when she lifts it, to just
Ah, the
Needs to happen. Then she lifts it up, and then all of a sudden, like Blackpool illuminations kick into full gear. A strange woman wearing a gaggle for no reason at all, a gaggle in a red dress, appears behind her, holding her hands out like and it's a plastic sheet she's wearing. Like, look at it, it's a
quite
plastic
clearly.
sheet. Because budgets. And she's like, oh no, like this. And then all of
Can
a
I see
sudden.
my costume, please? There you go.
This is it here.
Wrap it round you.
I was
It's
kind of
tarpaulin.
expecting something more. Well, that's what you've got.
It's not a tarpaulin. It's a costume.
It's a costume. It's a costume. Right, well, let me remove that peg from it. It's a costume. And all the lights start going, and then the overwhelming message of this movie is that pussy will age you. And that is... Yep, that's right. Go on
Hot
there.
take.
Go on there. Because Rawhead Rex has the lifeblood taken from him, ages horribly, very, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Drops on top of a grave. Now, we're going to need to talk about this grave, because I'm fairly sure this is not how graves work.
No, they're not. They're not hollow.
They're not hollow
Certainly.
and drop like about 10 feet.
They're not collapsible.
Yeah, but and this
That seems quite dangerous.
yeah, it does. Like someone accidentally steps over it who might be slightly heavy for the base level or age and time.
What you mean? Might be slightly heavy, like a 10-foot tall monster.
Yes,
Like,
I would.
Heavy.
I would like to say that earlier on we had a rather rotund gentleman who died at the hands of Rawhead Rex. Had he stood on that, he would have went to his death.
Yep, that's reasonable.
Yep, and Rex falls on it, and at this point we can't have the women. We can't have the women stealing all the thunder here of the death. And Howard delivers the death blow by hitting Rex in the head, which opens the chasm below. And Rex falls to his death. The end.
Now, I would like to say I wish it had been, because then what we have is the tagged on carry
The
end,
carry moment, yeah.
Yeah.
which is just
Hilarious.
So bad.
Hilarious.
It's hilarious, and how tagged on it is.
Have you ever seen the movie The Prophecy? Not the Christopher Walken one, the Mutant Bear movie.
No.
No, I don't believe so.
That might be a future one
Okay.
for you guys, right?
That's Duncan too.
Yeah, that
Duncan
may be a
McLeish
future
too.
one. Has the best sleeping bag death in a movie ever, and I shit you.
Better than
Yep.
Kane Hodder smashing
Yep.
someone off a
Yep.
tree.
That's exactly what I was going to
Yeah.
go to, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
hands down, right? It has the same ending. It's the same ending. It's the Carrie ending, but it's shot at exactly the same angle, and it is a creature going.
There's so many films like that.
How long do I need to hold this raw? Like, what, 20 seconds?
Again, though, I feel like because he's so open about his the influences and the homages that he's put into it, like there is very much a very clear Wicker Man thing that he admits, and
Yep.
obviously he very openly holds his hands up to the "Don't Look Now" thing.
Yep.
I feel that this is a blatant Carrie moment
Of course.
in a graveyard.
Yep. Serene music playing, camera pans
They
over.
bring Neil back for some reason.
Neil, who was the hidden MVP of this movie. Can I get
The
a
now-
high five, anyone?
Oh,
No?
wow. Well, I'm going to leave you hanging on that one.
He's a bloody pig.
But he goes to his grave.
He visits his
That's a nice
his
thing.
prick of a brother.
Yeah,
by the
his
way.
prick of a brother's awful.
Yeah, I mean that brings us nicely to the end. To me, it's just such a ending. I'm like, for fuck's
It makes me
sake.
wonder who thought this movie was getting a sequel. I really genuinely thought, like, when watching this, at what point during this production were they like that? We can explain all the inconsistencies in the sequel.
Now, I said that about when we did the Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai episode
Yes.
with Billy Cookwood. At the end of the Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai, it comes up Buckaroo Banzai will return and
Yep.
Buckaroo Banzai versus the World Crime League.
Well, Crime
Yes.
League, yep.
Now, I said to Billy, this has gone through a whole edit. They've watched it. They've seen what the fuck they've shot. They've seen how little sense it makes when it's cobbled together into a film. They've left that in.
Yeah.
They're confident enough to leave
Confident
that in there.
enough to leave that in. I guess it's the same kind of thing.
Weird things
is it,
happen.
is it again? Is it hubris
Yeah.
to think? Is it?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like,
To think that this is franchise making. This has franchise potential.
I think I think you can never tell. I think that's the weird thing about it. Like, you hear all these stories about filmmakers that genuinely think, yeah, they appreciate their movie, but genuinely think, and studios genuinely think, when this movie comes out, it'll be not very successful. The one that springs to mind is something like Time Bandits, which the studio thought was going to bomb, it was going to be awful, and it was number one, you know, in the Billboard in America. And you know, that movie's fantastical. It's out there, it's weird, it's wacky, it's world building, and all the rest. So what makes that movie connect with audiences, and something like, you know, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, or a movie like Brazil? I know I'm just Gillian, like,
Yeah,
totally,
you're
like, just
Gillian
going
out
to,
your mind,
like,
yeah.
but when you look at something like the Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai, which definitely fits within that kind of style,
Oh,
what
absolutely.
makes some of them land and others not work, and what makes anyone think though that Rawhead Rex, being the movie it is, at the end of that is going to have I just, that blows my mind, because I don't think you work on that project and you, like you say, you get to the end of that movie and don't see the, right, well, we had a good run, guys.
But maybe, I mean, I think it's hard to tell. I mean, as a filmmaker, it's hard to tell what you've got.
Yeah.
Until you sit down in an edit and you start cobbling it all together. And then you realise, Creature doesn't look the best.
Yeah.
The acting's quite bad. You're like, oh.
excuse me, sir.
You're like, some of this is quite unconvincing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you cobble it together, and then you're left with this B-roll footage of Rawhead popping out a grave.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I could leave it here. And then a producer presumably says, what happened to the scene of Rawhead popping out that grave that we shot just for a laugh? And you go, well, I was going to bin it. Or I thought it was definitely, I thought it was like a joke. Like a blooper. And you go, no. Get that tagged on. That's that's a sequel potential right there.
Yeah,
this is going this is going huge. We're talking Jason 7, 8, 9 films.
What I thought was interesting about
Rawhead
that,
take Galway.
was
No, I don't want to see that now.
I'm watching a fucking heartbeat.
I thought that what was interesting about the Carrie moment was that he didn't just like, it wasn't just him like jumping out with Neil.
Yeah,
Like
he
he's just from a nearby grave.
Neil walks away absolutely unscathed.
Totally oblivious.
Yeah, it's a weird. It's a kind
around
of wink at the audience.
Yeah, it's like
almost.
50 yards away. He
Yeah.
just appears and looks at the camera rather than at Neil.
Yeah, and it doesn't. Once again, it doesn't make sense. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. Like, what? How do you stop Rawhead Rex? Do you need to put the penis obelisk back on top? stop? Is that how we stop him coming out? Because
The dick stick.
Yeah, the dick stick. Oh man, we should have used dick stick earlier.
Cock rock.
Do you know how?
Oh my god,
man.
that is majestic.
It's right at the end here, and this is.
Sorry, guys.
We've missed
I'm
mileage
on
here.
fire now.
We've missed mileage. But yeah,
Right, there's nothing else for it. Sit down, we're doing it again.
yeah, rewind. It's a weird. It feels like a tagged on ending. To be honest, at this stage, most horror movies in '86 are doing this. American ones anyway. Are
Yeah,
like
one eye on what's next.
Can we franchise this? You know, horror is even in '86 is huge. So can we? And the more fantastical, the more ridiculous tends to benefit your movie and your audiences.
Rawhead qualifies.
So yeah, maybe there's a thought about that. It's not a great. It makes me howl with laughter every time I see it because it's so ridiculous. It's like the most ridiculous thing ever. It's like an aged Rawhead Rex howling at nothing. Howling at you.
With another man's mouth in his
Yeah,
mouth.
well, you can see that once again. 4K.
What the fuck's...
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's an
It's a blessing and a curse.
It's a proper cold light of day job, isn't it? When you see him.
Yeah, but that's the end of your journey, right? You've now experienced Rawhead Rex, and I am keen. I already kind of know how you feel about the movie, Andy. I already because you were. I don't know.
No, I will tell you. I enjoy watching Rawhead Rex,
but
I would say objectively, I've never really liked it.
All right, cool.
I will watch it most times anyone suggests watching it, and it's a film that I will suggest that people watch. Mm-hmm. That's not to say I am a massive fan of it.
Right.
I find I'm a massive proponent of practical effects, but for me, less is more sometimes.
Well, you get the creature very early in this movie, and it's not.
And it's there for the whole fucking film.
Yeah.
You have to deal with a terribly bad creature effect that pulls you out of the film.
Yep.
Quite often, and turns what could be quite an effective little film. Mm-hmm. It renders all the darker moments that could be more of the kind of on the horror side, teeter slightly onto the comedy side. Mm-hmm. So it never sits quite right with me on that. But it's a film that I've got a fair amount of affection for, but for reasons beyond it necessarily being a good film.
I think it comes down to like the modus operandi of your show is to defend movies that
are perhaps indefensible.
that are perhaps indefensible. And like I spoke to you before we started recording, and I said that pushed to give a technical grade. Like if I was sitting here doing the old Roger Ebert thing of like properly critically grading this movie, it fails in almost every aspect.
Yeah.
And that somehow adds to its charm. It adds to its rewatchability. I have watched Rawhead Rex a lot more than I have watched movies that I would say are excellently shot, excellently acted.
I've watched Rawhead Rex more than I've watched The Godfather.
Yeah.
I've definitely...
The aforementioned Godfather, or films like Taxi Driver, which I've seen a few times.
Yes.
But I've seen Rawhead Rex way more. I'll watch Rawhead Rex probably more times over the course of my life from this point on than I will again Taxi Driver. Not to say I won't revisit Taxi Driver and things like that.
If it comes down to the only way I can ever defend a movie like this is on a feeling. It's always on a feeling with me because the genre that we are all heavily invested in. Mm-hmm. It plays heavily into your nostalgia. It plays very much into entertainment. And if we're being honest, not a lot of horror movies are overtly dark or overtly scary. You kind of grow out that, and what scares one person doesn't scare the other. So what you're left with is, does the movie entertain? Does it stay with you afterwards? I remember every character in this movie. I remember every goofy scene in this movie. I can quote lines from this movie. I can tell you about how bad the effects are. I can talk passionately about things that I should not be able to talk passionately about. And that, to me, on some level, is kind of the definition of a good bad movie. But in a lot of respects is a definition of a good movie. A good song isn't necessarily the most complicated song ever written. It's the song that you hum.
It's the structure and how it's put together.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And how you feel.
Yeah.
I would say that Rawhead Rex is, while not a great film, it's a film worth watching.
It is.
Most certainly.
Yeah, and the length of it, I mean, like everyone should be made watch it.
It doesn't outstay its welcome again,
should be made
which is something on this show that we like. We do like things on this show that tend to move at quite a clip. Mm-hmm. Like at a decent clip and don't outstay their welcome.
That's true. Yeah.
Now I'm going to hand over to you, Mitch, for Mitch's analysis.
Aye, so I did, like, it's what you're saying about things feeding into nostalgia and stuff. I obviously didn't have that.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because I saw this for the first time on
Friday
night, and then the last time I watched it was last night.
Twice. Twice in a week as well.
I know. Hey, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing, right, man?
I love it.
So what I would say is, I mean, like, I would agree. I mean, like, I think that, like, I don't think it's something that you could stand back and admire as a technical feat of any kind. Mm-hmm. And I would say that genuinely, when we were watching it for the first time, or when I was watching it for the first time, when we watched it together, I would say we got to about the 20-minute mark, and I was like, what the fuck am I watching? And I was like, I'm not sure about this. And then, like, and as I was kind of like,
did that ever
see what
did that feeling ever a bait?
Well, not like honestly, maybe not during the first viewing, right? So it's like, so we're watching it, and I remember like a couple of times, and you'll see me. And I remember like Andy was saying, it's like somebody should have recorded me watching it.
Yeah, especially
as it gets towards the end, because you kind of just saw me kind of like furiously grasping from a notepad, grabbing a pen, and then just stopping because I didn't know what to write.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like I should say something, but never mind. And then when I watched it again last night, just for the sake of rounding things out, I kind of got quite a lot more out of it. But I think also I started kind of appreciating it on the level you were talking about.
Yeah.
And but also I think I just started noticing the little things, like just the kind of bare psychosis of Declan and things like that. But I kind of everyone in this is going 100%.
Yeah, I think,
with the possible exception of Howard, who I feel is a bit of a Mr. Rogers, as we discussed. But like,
I think it's a weird, it's a weird thing where, to me, the greatest bad movies are the movies where everyone on set really thinks they're bringing in gold.
Yeah.
You know, they feel like they're making something. Yeah. They're making one of those films is going to stand the test of time. A diamond. Yeah, and then
it comes out and you realise that people couldn't have been any more wrong. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is exactly right, because I got the end of the first screening, and I would say like the what the fuck thing didn't. I was joking. I think about 20 minutes in, I was a bit like, what the fuck's this? But like by the time I got to the end of it, I was like, yeah, okay. When I watched it last night, I kind of started to. It was that thing. There was an earnestness to it that I really enjoyed. And like I say, I think without ever necessarily appreciating it on the levels that they set out for me to, I would say that I got a decent amount of it. And I think that I enjoyed hearing you talk about it tonight in such impassioned tones.
Yeah.
I brought a bit of colour to it, and I think when it's all been that fresh, I would say from my first impression being that I was done with it, I would say I'll almost certainly watch it again. And to your point about watching it more than great films, I would say that I will see this more times before I die than I will say 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We will take that. We will take that.
More than Roots. So, I think we've all come to a pretty conclusive agreement that, it might not be the best film ever made, and I'm sure everyone can agree. I can attest to that.
Yeah, I don't think you were ever coming in trying to convince us.
No, I don't think you were coming in here banging on the table saying it's Oscar worthy. It's not.
There's an Oscar for bad movie.
I would really like Steve McQueen to direct the remake of this.
Just a quick, let's just quickly touch on that. So, the remake, who would you cast?
Rawhead, I'm gonna put in a case for Javier Botet. I would reimagine him a little bit.
Javier Botet as a
Howard played by Michael Fassbender. He's Irish already. So
I love that.
Well, Howard's American.
Yeah, but you could have him as an Irish American.
Or you could set it in England.
Either way,
coming back home, grew up in the village.
Oh, that's great.
Like slight change. Always a wee bit weary about that church.
Michael Fassbender's a great shout for Howard. I can't top that. Who would you have for Howard's wife, Elaine? Who would you have for Elaine? Kind of tricky.
See, I've dropped this on us and now no one's got a fucking idea what to say.
Yeah.
So we get 10 minutes of silence on the podcast coming up now.
Everyone humming and name.
Maybe make her a bit older. Maybe make her Barbara Crampton. I would love a bit.
So you bring in that American. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah,
there you go.
Make the kids teenager-y. Bring them in a bit more of that.
More teenager-y sort of thing.
More of that sexualized thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. Barbara Crampton.
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender.
I'd like to see
Barbara Crampton
on screen.
I don't know if I would cast Crampton and Fassbender
opposite Fassbender
as totally husband and wife.
Just totally out there.
But I think I'd like to see someone like a Reece Shearsmith or someone as Declan. Just screaming his fucking head off. Just
He'd be great at it.
You know who I would cast opposite Barbara Crampton as Howard?
Okay.
David Strathairn.
Oh. Well then, good call, Mitch. Look at you.
David
works.
Well, there we go. If anyone's listening, and if Clive Barker's listening,
If David Strathairn's listening,
if David Strathairn's
Keep
listening,
fucking
get
love
in
your
touch.
work, man.
Keep that Stuart Gordon thing going on there. Reverend Coop, played by what's his face from Reanimator,
Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs. Get some Combs in there.
Yeah, we love
Reverend
a bit of
Combs, not Coop.
Reverend. Oh,
Reverend
is that how you
Combs.
pronounce it?
Yeah, is that how you
Yeah.
pronounce it?
There you go. So if you are listening, Clive Barker, just take these ideas and run with them, and that's fine. Aside from that, I think we can all agree that, while not the best film in the world, Rawhead Rex is absolutely worth checking out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways to do that in this day and age as well.
Yeah,
It's available on all the digital platforms in the UK.
Yeah, for rent. Yep.
Yep.
You can check it out on Arrow Video's Blu-ray,
Yep.
which has just recently come out.
4K.
4K.
Once again,
and
4K.
Yeah.
and the Kino Lorber
Yeah,
release
which I
as
also
well.
own.
Yeah,
for some
which is
reason.
also
Of course.
which
you
is
do.
also for some reason 4K.
4K as well.
So
It's
yeah,
so gloriously
you
unnecessary. I
can
love
check
it.
it out on all of those.
Yeah,
all
lots
of
of
those
ways
things
to
there.
check out Rawhead Rex if you would like to. And I think that, off the back of this, I think that we can all unanimously say that you should.
Definitely watch it. I would say definitely watch it. Watch it right now.
Yeah, watch it right this minute.
So Duncan, what do you have coming up? Anything you want to talk about or plug?
So Podcast Under the Stairs it's supposed to be a weekly podcast. It's now running about 2 to 3 episodes a week.
Wow.
Which is just nuts. It's just the amount of horror there is out there.
I was
going to
say, where'd you get the time? But we're churning out too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is what you do. This is what you do. So at the moment, I am doing a kind of multitude of different things. I'm looking at, I think by the time your episode drops, there'll be the second part of a 2-part series looking at the Blind Dead movies.
Cool.
So parts 3 and 4 from that. I'm also currently doing like a
You've been
sub-series.
through the 88 Italian collection.
Yeah, I'm going through the entire collection because I own them all, and 90% of them are still in their shrink wrap. Which
And 90% of them are utter tosh.
at the moment, I've not come across one that I dislike. So I'm looking forward to. I'm working my way through them. Some of them are drivel. There's a whole lot of them I've never seen before, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. But if anyone wants to check that out, it's teaputscast.com or facebook.com/groups/teaputscast. Thank you very much for having me on. This has been a blast.
Oh no!
I've
Thank
loved
you,
this.
man. Thank you for coming on. This has
Can't
been
remember the last
amazing.
time I laughed
This
as
has been
much.
insane. This has been insane. Yeah, amazing. Thank you, man.
Have we had a commentary that's longer than the film?
We're definitely longer than the film.
I'd stand it.
There we go.
Duncan, thanks a lot for stopping by, man.
Thank you, man.
So there we go, a convincing sell from Duncan McLeish on Rawhead Rex, and we're going to take a minute now to have a wee look at some of the feedback we've built up over the last couple of weeks.
I just want to say, just off the bat, it seems quite clear that I was in the minority, certainly with my opinion of Detention.
Yeah, I mean, we can get to that, but I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty happy with the response on that one. But so we haven't had a feedback section yet, and as a result, we're kind of just going to catch up on a couple of things that people have weighed in with over the last couple of weeks. So we did get some pretty interesting responses to both the choice and the episode when we had Buckaroo Banzai. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, as chosen by Mr. Billy Kirkwood.
Sure.
So there was some good Facebook and Twitter responses to this. So what do we have on Twitter for Buckaroo Banzai?
We have at the Chris Bowd. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If not, you can tell me that I'm not, and I'll sort it next time. So he said, again, assuming Chris is a man. It could be a female Chris. It said, outstanding movie. That end credits theme is immense. I think we can all agree that the end credits to Buckaroo Banzai are probably the best end credits to any film ever made.
Agreed, yes, yep.
Yep.
Unanimous.
And at Nazi says, just finished another great episode of Strong Violent PC. Suck up.
Thank you.
Buckaroo Banzai is my jam. Hong Kong Cavaliers forever.
Absolutely.
We also had a 5-word review come in on Buckaroo Banzai from Chris Angel, presumably not the magician.
No, I don't believe so. But
Yeah.
do we have a Twitter handle for him?
We've got at Tenshi-san 73,
Okay.
who says, my brain hurts so much, which I feel is, again, pretty apt.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yep, that kind of makes perfect sense.
And I think we allowed a hashtag for that, didn't we?
We did, yeah. There's a hashtag. Yeah, there is a hashtag on that, which is but in a good way. So it says brain hurts so much, but in a good way.
What's that? Oh yeah, I'll allow it.
Not in an aneurysmic way,
Which is good. I'm glad.
which is a bad way, or a tumorific.
Tumoric. I was going to say turmeric, but that's not that.
Turmeric,
That's not what that is.
Turmeric's the wonder spice.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
Turning to Facebook, we had a couple for Buckaroo Banzai. We had a Mike Zimmerman comment saying, "Can't wait for this absolute favourite movie." When we announced that we selected it, which I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to go and say it's my absolute favourite movie, but
Billy's.
It's definitely Billy's for sure. Also, quick shout to Barry Delgarno, who got in touch on Facebook and provided us with a solid selection of hashtags.
Slew of things.
He went for hashtag It's Big Boutte. Hashtag Laugh While You Can, Monkey Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag Goldblum Cowboy, which I think is probably the most pertinent of all.
Like a Goldblum cowboy.
Dun, dun. And also hashtag Wes Anderson sold the end credits for The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, which is kind of defeats the purpose of a hashtag, but a salient point. I feel.
He could have just written that.
I mean, like that's a sentence, but but yeah, he's hitting the nail on the head. He also actually
and again, we're not saying that that's the truth. That's an opinion.
Yeah, it's an opinion, absolutely, and it is Barry's opinion. And he also did actually he also mentioned he commented on the catchiness of the main theme. Can't argue with that. And he did compliment the Arrow release, which was the one that you'd mentioned in the run-up. Yeah. He also drew attention to the fact that if you're looking for a little bit more buckaroo for your buck, you can get the US The Shout Factory release, which apparently has an exclusive 2-hour documentary on it. So take you on from that. Straight on to last week's episode then, Detention. So you go first with this one. So because I would say that
I think that
this is pretty divisive.
The feedback, really?
I mean, the 5 word
reviews that I read
reviews
was pretty demoralising on my part. I was like, how come I'm the only fucking person that doesn't get this? Like, what is wrong with me? Is there something wrong with me? And then a few people kind of swooped in. To my defence.
Who were the kind of edifying influences for you here? Who were the ones who were kind of on your side?
I feel like again, Chris Angel.
Tenchi San 73 on Twitter, yeah.
Tenchi San 73 swooped back in with never frickin' heard of it, which is fine. And we had
standing. I hope you have now.
That'll do.
Yeah.
Yep. And Aunt Magic Mercer on Twitter came in with watch Britney Spears' Toxic instead.
A cheeky wee nod
which
to.
Is pretty good. Now this next one kind of straddles the line between both of us, really. He's kind of sitting on the fence here. And it's from at Darren_Gaskill, who has said, who tweeted at us, it's irritatingly smart-arsed but occasionally brilliant. Now, I just want to say that Darren's hyphenated smart-arsed in an attempt to get 6 words in where 5 was the remit.
That's cheeky, but I'll allow it.
Cheeky, very cheeky. But Darren, we just want you to know we've got our eyes on you, we're watching you.
Also, Darren actually got in touch with a little bit of a longer remark on Detention, which kind of continues this kind of landing in the middle thing. So he got in touch saying... First off, he praised your reference to Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
Well, there you go.
For the opening credits.
That's brilliant.
But his overall comment was, I found it all quite smug. Detention. Shanley Caswell was pretty good, but she kept reminding me of Rachel Lee Cook and She's All That. I have nothing against Rachel Lee Cook, but I actively fucking detest She's All That. Which I quite enjoyed. And then he lands kind of like in the middle because he closes with, will I watch Detention again? Probably. So I actually shouted to Darren because he actually went to the trouble of buying it.
Yeah, he went and bought it. Yeah, I actually know a few people who went and bought it. Pretty non-committal though from Darren.
I don't know if it's necessarily non-committal, just very opinionated. But he's just kind of landing all over the spectrum with the. But I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All his bases.
He is, yeah. But I think it's a good representation.
Everything to everybody.
Exactly. it's precisely that. But yeah, no, I did have. So I actually enjoyed this one. Danny Naylor at Dan Naylor's tweet on Twitter. He posted a couple, but. He listened to the episode and the first thing that he sent us was barely 5 minutes in and Andy's foaming at the mouth.
I think that might have been the point where I was going...
I think it was like when you were actively quite mad about it and you were kind of getting increasingly enraged at the fact that I thought was quite funny.
See, this is the fucking... But I was pretty incensed.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's okay. We had Mike Shawcross, Shocky69 on Twitter, got in touch and said...
Cameraman extraordinaire.
Cameraman extraordinaire, yes.
Yep. Snapper to the stars.
Got in touch saying, even without hearing the argument against the film, I'm on your side, Mitch. I love Detention. So, no comment on whether or not my argument was compelling at all, but definitely, more importantly, I'm definitely right.
Fake news.
Well, Adam Tyler 89 got in touch. I'm with you, Mitch. I love Detention. Big thank you also
Adam,
to
also wrong.
Joey LDG gets in touch on Twitter. I loved block capitals. I love Detention. You leave Detention alone. I'll kill you with approximately 8 O's, which I quite enjoyed.
Thanks, Joey.
Also, like a really good GIF accompanying that one with Billy threatening Clapton against the locker, like that. And also Grant the Bear, that's comfortably dumb on Twitter, gets in touch, which I quite enjoyed. Got in touch saying one of my all-time favourite movies, so stylistic, like
come on to fuck,
like a horror version of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which
no
is
way.
Yeah, he's a wise man. He also said that I won the argument. My arguments were more compelling and thought out. So fuck you.
I remember seeing that, and I replied saying my argument was nothing more than this film isn't for me, which I feel is enough of an argument to be able to say, look, this isn't for me. Thanks, Grant the Bear.
Cheers, Grant. Right, and that's it for the feedback for now.
But it's been a marathon.
It has been. Thank you very much to everyone that's got in touch. And also, I think, and we have touched on this a little bit before, but a couple of people, in fact, a few people out there have been really vocal in their support for the podcast. And really appreciate that. Thank you to every share and like and comment and all that kind
Once
of thing.
Once we set up a Patreon, we expect these people to be banging our doors.
Oh, yes.
Throw in the money as those podcast pounds.
But
pounds.
But thank you to everybody that's taken the time to pass comments and shares and things and just kind of do their bit to spread the word. But also, and a particular thank you to everybody that's actually making the effort to seek out the films in advance of the episodes.
Still super cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing to do. That will just about do it for us this week. Thank you so much.
Exhausted.
Same.
Exhausted. I'm physically spent. It's too hot. I'm worn out with heat and just.
I want to say a huge thanks to Duncan McLeish from the podcast Sound of the Stairs.
I'm pretty sure Duncan will be back.
I have a strong feeling he'll be back at some point, but he came in, argued very compellingly for Rawhead Rex, but a great guy to have on the show as well. If you've got any thoughts, by all means get in touch. Loads of ways to do that. Facebook and Instagram, both Strong Language Violent Scenes. You can tweet us at Strong Violent PC, and you can Gmail. You can email the Gmail if you like at stronglanguageviolentscenes@gmail.com.
Such a hip hopper. Such a rapsmith.
Rapsmith. That's definitely a thing. So stay tuned. We have, of course, got the next minisode coming on Monday. Montag. And you can, of course, always keep up with us on Stitcher, Podbean, and iTunes.
Yep, that's right.
Don't forget.
I had hoped we would have another to announce this week, but that is not the case. So I don't know what the fuck's going on with that.
The wait continues. Watch the space.
Oh, bated breath.
Yeah. But in the meantime, it's time for us to head out. And don't forget that it is better to die a hero than live as food in a world of chuds. Good night.
Good night.
You've been listening to Strong Language and Violent Scenes with Andy Stewart and Mitch Bain. Strong Language and Violent Scenes theme by Mitch Bain. Production and artwork by Andy Stewart. Find us on Stitcher, iTunes, and Podbean.